A lot of people may have had the experience of, jumping into gardening after having a winter that's active in a different way. You're using a lot of different muscles, and the next thing you know, you're really, really sore after a day of digging. That may be, to a certain extent, unavoidable, but hopefully the postures that we'll be looking at today will help you just make it so that the muscles are sore and you're not going to necessarily have like any lasting back issues. A lot of people you see who may not have been working with a shovel as often will go down if they need to get something down like this. You see my back? And what I'm doing right now is just really lifting everything with these muscles right here. It's not a very ideal situation. It's not going to last very long that day. And you want to try to keep from the base of your spine all the way to your neck. You want to try to always keep that mainly straight. So if you're trying to dig something, one way to do that is to get your legs a little bit lower down. See, you can have your chest open, you can have your back straight, and then most of that lift is coming from my legs. So you can get a nice big pile of stuff, and as long as you're feeling that openness in your chest and that straightness in your back and a lot more strain in your legs will get tired out way quicker, but it is most definitely worth it. Another one that is really very easy to use in a way that is going to hurt your back is the mattock. People just are trying to get their face kind of closer and curving that back again. Notice how people work in indigenous communities. They pretty much are always having that back straight, even if they're getting very far down. Like having that back straight here is allowing a lot of that strain to get into the hamstrings, which may be another case for stretching hamstrings a little bit more often. Spreading your legs is another way to help you get yourself closer to the ground initially, and then you can really try to keep that back straight. With the mattock, you can get your upper hand way closer to the head. Yeah, because we're not like swinging it necessarily like an axe like that. Choke up on it, and then, yeah, that way you can be closer to the part that you're actually digging in. So this is a broad fork. I've heard that one person using one of these decompacted an entire acre of beds, right, like every year at his place. So this thing is easiest to use going backwards. Essentially, you want the tines to be going in to the ground just about straight. So you'll angle it that way, push it down a little bit, and then really get up on this thing, and then kind of rock it back and forth. So we're probably 10 inches down, and then you're just basically going to lean back on it. Well, if it gets really hard to lean back on, what you want to do is you want to hang off of your bone structure rather than having your arms up here, and that way you're having to use all your arm muscles. Essentially, you just want to hang. We don't necessarily need to flip the top. That's pretty much fully aerated. And now you can just pull it out like that, move it backwards, and you're ready to start your next chunk. This is one of the tools that it's very easy to use the right way. The tines are a very thin profile, so we're really not mixing any soil down there. We're just creating these rips. This is like, on a small scale, this is one of the best ways to really decompact and prep a bed for next year. Like if you guys have sod that you are planning to turn into garden next year, I would buy one of these and do it ASAP this fall.
I forget the name. Yeah, I don't know what it's called.
It's called a wheel-hoe. Or an oscillating stirrup hoe. The whole idea here is that it's a stirrup, so this, hopefully right around here about is ground level, so you get to undercut everything. There's obviously not too much to go over on this, but again, I can't stress this enough. A lot of people, you'll see the first time they get in the garden, maybe in the spring when they forgot how painful gardening can be if you do it in a certain way, they come out here and this is what you see right off the bat, You can see my thumbs are down. That's kind of like people's instinct for using this tool, and I give that a thumbs down. So I try to use thumbs up most of the time. It resets the way that your body holds the tool. You are just kind of compelled to straighten up. You really will notice that it puts all of the stress into your arms. Hoeing out a garden can get very, very tiring on your arms, but that's okay. Your arms can take a beating. Your back does not want to take a beating. This, a person could do all day long. You have your back straight up, and it's just arm work. You know, your arms are gonna get tired, but that's, like I said, that's fine. This wiggle hoe is a little bit better when, well, it works very, very well with younger weeds, but essentially this thing has the ability to cut under that first layer of soil. I have one of these that's mounted on a frame with a wheel, which is called a wheel hoe. So you're essentially just pushing this thing through the soil, and that way you're not actually doing any kind of rocking motion with your arms. Definitely buy a wheel hoe. That's like kind of my #1 cultivating tool, because if you set it so that your stirrup can maybe fit between this row 2 times the width, you just have to walk down and back. That's it. These tools really work best in bare soil situations, which in permaculture is often not the goal at all. We had perennial weeds and we mulched the heck out of them, and then they would still come up. And so for this year, we just kind of really needed to focus on getting this garden free of weeds. So this here is called an Earthway seeder. And essentially the way it works is you have, this is your seed hopper. There's a hole in the top here. So there's these discs of different sizes. This one has beans and small peas written on it. So basically these all correspond to roughly a seed size. That disc slips into this little axle here, which is driven by the main wheel. And in terms of back saving, this is huge, because planting even a small garden like this by hand, it's a nightmare trying to, has anybody ever done that? And this thing will basically deliver a perfectly straight row of seeds at this kind of pace. And then you're done. You know, the whole idea of just not really rushing and getting through your work at a comfortable clip is so important, because you're not going to be wanting to do it for the rest of the season if you feel like you're rushing, and you're certainly not going to be wanting to do it year after year if you feel like it's a chore and you feel like you're rushing and, you know, you're hurting your back.